Corey Johnson, who you've seen on stage as an interviewer, is going to come up and now be interviewed. Corey used to actually be Emily Chang's on stage, on camera partner hosting Bloomberg's Tech Show. But now he has left journalism and he is at Ripple as a very senior executive. So Corey,
call me old?
No, I did not
very
call you.
Senior.
I didn't call you old, actually.
Did you hear him say very senior?
I senior in the sense of your responsibilities, I meant.
That was our senior moment.
No, so tell me what you're doing and what Ripple is and why we should care.
So my job is a chief market strategist. So Ripple is an enterprise software company, but it's also a crypto company, if you will. It's a blockchain-focused business and a blockchain-focused technology. And we're trying to solve one simple problem. Who in the room has ever had to move money across a border, whether you're on vacation or you're in a business and you're trying to, and the experience that we have even here in the first world is it's slow, it's expensive, and you don't really know what's happening for a long time. There's probably customer phone calls involved. The state of the art right now is 3 to 5 days to move money across borders. The state of the art right now is, according to the World Bank, 694 basis points in cost for remittances. Think about that, nearly 7% in average cost for remittances. And if you're in a difficult corridor, it's going to be a lot higher than that. And the state of the art is a 6% error rate in moving money across borders. That's like losing power 1 hour a day. That's how the global financial system moves money. And we take the approach that that's just crazy, that why can I send a text message to Rome in 3 seconds with GIFs and emojis? I can send an email to Sao Paulo in seconds with an attached Excel spreadsheet, but I can't send money. And so Ripple is trying to solve that problem with enterprise software for banks and financial institutions, some of which uses a cryptocurrency or digital asset, we like to call it, called XRP.
But the crypto piece is central to how you're trying to solve the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. The settlement of the actual transaction, it's not enough just to send the message, say, here I promise to pay you, when I can arrange it through ACH or through multiple expensive hops in a correspondent banking system that's, again, slow and often inaccurate. So the state of the art is the one financial institution tells the other financial institution, we want to move, $1,000 in Thai baht to the US right now. It's going to result in, X number of dollars. Are you cool with that? Yes, click yes, boom. And within a minute or two, it's done. And the value translates in the example I just used, Thai baht, XRP, digitally across the Ripple network, XRP, US dollar. And our notion is there is no payment layer for the internet. We're creating a separate internet, a RippleNet is the phrase we use.
And it's actually being used, right? I mean,
Correct.
Talk about the successes you've had thus far and how much is being used.
It's early.
I know it's early, but it is being used.
But I do think that we're probably the most advanced company in all of blockchain, right?
Well, that's what I was going to get to after you explained how much is being used.
So we've got over 100 paying customers. These aren't pilots, but these are actually 100 paying customers. We've moved over $1 billion across our network. We're opening new corridors and selling. I mean, when I joined the company, 9 months ago, the company was doing about a deal every 6 weeks. Now it's about every 6 days. So there's definitely an acceleration of what we're doing. We've announced only 3 customers of our second product, XRapid, and that's the product that clears, that settles transactions using cryptocurrency. We're adding new customers all the time, but it's exciting. It's cool to be at a company that's growing at this pace. It's also doubled in size. We've gone from about 150 employees to 300 in a year.
But the thing that's especially interesting about Ripple for me, and the reason I wanted to have you up here, we've heard all this about Bitcoin and crypto and blockchain. We also heard a speaker yesterday talk about public blockchains are the only thing that's going to work. The XRP is a public blockchain, essentially.
It is, but the transactions happen in a way that maintains some privacy. The blockchains are different. The different digital assets are different.
But the point is, you are sort of the biggest business that's actually functioning on a global basis using anything that has emerged from Bitcoin, despite the fact that the Bitcoin value, net market cap is some kind of many, many tens of billions.
Yeah, there's over 500 billion, or no, sorry, about 250 billion in crypto assets trading
Which
every
is
day.
strange to me considering
Yeah.
how little it's actually being used for anything, which is why I find Ripple interesting.
I would agree. I think I've got some ideas about that, but fundamentally, I think that I do believe that there will be many businesses that use blockchain and even use digital assets, cryptocurrency, whatever you want to call it, will use that for technological solutions. It's just very early days. So the big businesses that have been built to trade those crypto assets or to hold custody of those crypto assets or to manage translations from one crypto asset to another. But actual deployment of the technology for uses other than store of value and trading of value, it's hasn't happened yet.
Okay, so
in size, at
in
scale,
your 9 months in the crypto-related business,
which
what-
does make me senior.
okay, I know it's a fast-changing industry, but what have you learned? What are some of the key things you've learned that you think most of us don't understand about what's happening with all the things that have happened because of the invention of Bitcoin and the emergence of crypto?
Well, so one I'll point to, and I alluded to it earlier. There's been some very smart people criticizing the lack of development in all things crypto, and the way that people like Paul Krugman and others, and I've been on stage debating Paul Krugman about these topics, and what they'll do is they'll say, blockchain just doesn't work for anything. It takes 20 minutes to do a transaction on Bitcoin. Well, hear the shift there. Blockchain doesn't work for anything. Like what? Oh, Bitcoin doesn't work well. Well, it's like saying, horses are really crummy for mass transportation. But wait, what about the other forms that we look at XRP as Bitcoin 2.0. It has a different notion of consensus that confirms transactions. It does 1,500 to 2,000 transactions per second, more like Visa rather than Bitcoin. It's got improvements over that. But there's different
Because it was invented
flavors.
later using
It was
similar
invented later.
ideas.
The guys who invented XRP looked at the white paper that Satoshi wrote about Bitcoin and said, this thing's amazing. This could be really something in scale, but what might the problems be? And there might be problems about needing total openness in every transaction. Financial institutions, banks, and businesses who the banks use don't want all their transactions out there for everyone to see who they are. They want some form of privacy, but they want some of the protections that an open network can have. XRP provides that, and Ripple's software, in some cases, uses XRP to make that happen.
So have we heard your biggest learnings, or can I squeeze more out of you?
No, ask more.
Well, I'd be curious what you thought of Paul Brody's presentation from EY yesterday about public blockchains. What was your general reaction to that argument?
I think that the argument about public blockchains is very compelling for some use cases. But for some use cases, fully public blockchains just don't make sense. There are some transactions we have in the world that, will need to be private. I mean, so much of your work in the last few years has been about the notion of privacy, and in particular what it means for Facebook. And Mark Zuckerberg might have a different idea about what privacy people really want for themselves. I would argue, and you know him much better than I do. I don't know him at all, but I've met him, talked to him, interviewed him. But I think that his driving notion of privacy led to Facebook to be what it is. I think some people actually want to and will insist on maintaining a different level of privacy, so a fully public blockchain for everything isn't right.
Well, let me just, since you raised Facebook, and I always bite that hook when it comes out.
I hope we've all bought the book.
No,
Still relevant.
it is interesting to note at Facebook that their best executive is working on a quote-unquote blockchain project. David Marcus.
Cheryl?
David Marcus, who had been CEO of PayPal before he came to Facebook and ran Facebook Messenger from 300 million to 1-point-something billion, clearly effective guy, is in a very mysterious, sort of skunk works doing something with blockchain at Facebook. What do you think that might be? I
have asked myself that question. I don't know. A few things happen when people get into blockchain, right, or start to read about it, start to read about Bitcoin. That's usually where people start. They either go all the way down the rabbit hole, or they just put their hands up and walk away and can't start to figure it out. And then the two things happen down the rabbit hole. You start to imagine all kinds of incredible use cases, things in the world that can be solved, usually starting with your own personal experience. And then they buy something. And then they believe that the thing that they bought, in which they have an investment, creates a bias. So a lot of the journalists who write about blockchain full-time own Bitcoin, or they own Ether, or they own XRP, and they see everything else that they are writing about as in some way a threat to what they're doing. So I think in general...
That's an interesting conflict.
You think?
Oh, I never thought of that.
And it's
It's a really serious problem in journalism, do you think?
absolutely in the trade press. I don't want to. If you ask most people in blockchain where the best place to follow information, they'll tell you to go to Twitter. And that speaks a lot about just the state of journalism and business journalism writ large. But I think that there is a lot of unintentional bias created by people invested in this space. CZ, the header of, the CEO of Binance, the largest crypto exchange in the world, has said he won't give interviews to anyone who doesn't own some sort of cryptocurrency. So the
So that he
immaturity
would-
in the business,
Ensuring he will get some kind of favorable treatment that way? Is that the
or
implicit?
bias treatment, I don't know.
That's weird. Okay,
But
interesting.
I think it speaks to the industry. I see we're almost out of time, but just really quick, I think the reason that there's such the interest in blockchain far exceeds the use of blockchain. And I
Right.
think that's because it has a price to it. And business journalists, people like I used to be, and you thankfully still are, would often do descriptions of things based on price. And they put up CNBC, where I used to work, they'll put up a stock chart, or they'll put up a commodities chart, or they'll put up a chart of the price of something. It's up and to the right, it's good. It's down and to the right, it's bad. What the thing is doesn't matter. Well, when they invented TCP/IP, they didn't put a price on it. Nobody noticed that it developed kind of quietly in the background for decades, right? When they invented Bitcoin, they put a price on it. And it got a lot of attention, and it got a lot of excitement to the space as it was designed to do. But I think the interest in it is way ahead of the deployment, and I think that's why it gets so much attention right now, and why other things like an intelligent media, broad-based intelligent media. There's a lot of really smart people writing about blockchain, but there's a lot of bad ones too. I think that's why we are with a very nascent industry with a lot of attention put to it.
And why taking something, a manageable single problem like moving currency between borders is a much more practical way to take some of this technology.
It's a multi-trillion-dollar
Giving you a
problem.
softball way to end here.
I appreciate that. It's a multi-trillion-dollar problem that, if it was what's Facebook looking at, who knows, there's so much that blockchain could solve. Ripple said, hey, there's a multi-trillion-dollar problem here. We'll just take the trillions off the table. Everyone else can have the rest.
Okay, good. Thank you, Corey.
Thanks, buddy.
Great to have you.